That was incredible.
Willie, can you talk a little bit about the rotation and the kind of the choices behind each pick?
Yeah, so we're there's been 6 or 7 guys that have been stretched out to be starters, and right now they're all throwing the ball pretty well. And so we're going to start on the weekend on Friday with Carlone. It is kind of our first option out there on Friday, and we have a strategic plan of backing him up with Overbay, and then Saturday, Colin Linder has been throwing the ball really, really well. Back him up with another guy, and then same on Sunday with Easton Barrett. So the idea is these guys are kind of built up for 4 or 5 innings right now, maybe 6 if we get really lucky. So between those 2 guys stacked on each day, it should hopefully, if things go well, kind of eat up most of a game, and then we have guys in position to close it down late if we need to. So, which we're anticipating that we're going to need to do that. So we got those kind of guys ready on reserve to do that, and then Cole Klecker will be on Tuesday. He's been, like I said, throwing the ball probably as good as anybody this spring. After making a few adjustments over the fall, he's done a really good job this spring. So we'll see, at least start off with that, and then we have the flexibility to change things around if we need to moving forward.
What's it like just to have that depth and flexibility after you first came here and you were struggling just to have a full pitching staff?
It's been a lot of hard work and a lot of getting the right type of kids and building up for this. And again, we'll see how it goes. I feel good about it, but it's been a long road to get here, to get the quality arms that we feel like we have. So we'll see when the lights come on how they respond, but on paper and what it looks like here in inter squad, it's been pretty good.
And you talked about Linder being the Saturday guy. Talk about his recovery process. How have you felt with him coming off of what happened last year?
He came into us, from junior college, had unfortunately blown out before he got to us, had reconstructive surgery, which is pretty common in today's world. But we knew the type of kid he was, and gave him a shot to come in here. Obviously, medical red shirt last year. Jesse Lohman, our head trainer, Ted Henson, our strength coach. It's up to the kid to put the work in, and for him to meet our coaching staff and our training staff and strength coaches halfway, and be able to do everything that was required of him to get back and strong and physical. From an arm strength standpoint, he's done everything we've asked him to do. And we sent him out this summer. He threw the ball decent in a limited amount of time up in Alaska, and then has come back this fall and just done outstanding. So, and continued on this spring and done really, really well. So excited to see how he responds when the lights come on Saturday.
With all the new faces in the batting order, how have you just kind of approached finding which guy fits best in each position in the infield and outfield, and also in the batting order?
No, I think it's, again, one of those things that, kind of like the pitching staff, we have a lot of options on the offensive side of the ball as well. There's 12, 13 guys that are going to be mixed in the lineup frequently, at least initially, until guys start rising up and taking over their positions. We got a great battle in the middle infield. There's a big battle in the outfield. Behind the plate, there's also a battle there. So early on, I anticipate mixing guys in and giving them opportunities early, and seeing who takes it and run with it.
Are there any spots that you've kind of come close to solidifying as guys that you know for a fact will start there?
The good part about our roster is, even though there's guys quote unquote solidified at certain positions, there's guys right on their heels that could, if there's an injury or a stumble, there's younger guys that are ready to go, and there's veteran guys that are capable of playing multiple positions that we can move around. So I love our roster. I love where we're at, with the flexibility that we have, and it might take us a little bit to kind of gel and figure out our exact roles, but that's what the early part of the season is for.
With the pitching starters, you talked about the competition earlier, in the fall, but even earlier in the spring. How do you feel that the competition these guys had, they just drove each other? Like you said, they're going to make the decision, and obviously they did. But how do you feel that competition drove them?
Well, I think, to be perfectly honest, in the fall, it wasn't pretty on a pitching standpoint, and we had to have a wake-up call. We had a scrimmage game against Cal Baptist. We got our teeth kicked in, and we just were not very good. And there was some complacency, and we had to have some harsh reality truth conversations at that point, to where, guys, we aren't very good. And we had our Maroon and Gold series where the hitters pretty much dominated that series, and they knew it going into the winter. Like, hey guys, we are only going to go as far as our pitching staff takes us. You guys got to pick it up, because right now you're getting destroyed. And I think they've taken that challenge head on. They worked diligently over the winter. And their off time, they didn't take much off time to themselves. They came back in great shape, and they've just progressively gotten better and better every weekend. So again, that's our hitters have seen them dozens of times, and here as of late now I'm a little bit concerned about our hitters. Like, we aren't hitting very good. So I'm never happy, always upset at one side of the ball and in our squad. So that's why we're just really anxious to play against somebody else.
Willie, you guys were picked fourth in the Big 12 preseason poll. Does that motivate you at all that your peers didn't rank you guys a little bit higher? And how do you think that this team stacks up against Arizona, TCU, and West Virginia, who are the teams ranked above you?
I don't really get into rankings too much. I only care where we're ranked at the end of the year, right? For us, we're focused on one team right now, and that's Omaha when they come in here this weekend, and we gotta go to work against them and play our game and do what we're capable of doing. Rankings are rankings. You've seen it, in every sport. Preseason ranks somebody high, low, and it always flip flops or whatever. So I don't get overly caught up in that. I just know that once we get to conference, we're going to have a dogfight every weekend. If it's anything like last year, I mean, there was anybody beats anybody on any given weekend, and you got to come ready to play. And just when you think you've arrived, you get kicked in the mouth and get beat. And just when you think you're at the bottom, you beat somebody that you're not expected to, and then things flip. So bottom line, we just go out and play the way we're capable of playing, and we'll see how we match up against those guys. I think that's the first 3 conference weekends that we have are against those 3 teams that are picked ahead of us. So obviously they're talented, they're good, and so are we.
Cool.
Obviously, last year's results just impact you guys' drive and motivation to surpass just the regional round. Well,
I mean, I think it's setting standards. How good do you guys want to be? How good do we want to be? And what are the expectations here? And with our guys, they got a little taste of it, and it was disappointing the way we ended last year. And for the guys that are returning off that team, they know that those aren't the standards, right? We got a taste of it. That was great, but it's not what we expect to be, and not where we aspire to be. So hopefully that motivation made them work a little bit harder in the off season and understand that the details of things work, and the details of things matter. It's not necessarily the talent that you come out with on a daily basis. It's, can you execute the details of the game? And we focused a lot on that in the fall and in this spring. Hopefully again we can execute it when comes game time.
Cole kind of talked about that Cal Baptist game in particular being kind of a low point for him mentally. And he said, Jeremy kind of mentioned that he's seen his confidence come back. How have you kind of helped him get his confidence and realize the talent's there? It's just kind of realizing that.
A lot with him is just conviction, and believing in what he's doing, convicted in what he's doing. There's a lot of mental stuff in the game of baseball, offensively, defensively, on the mound. Baseball is a very mentally grueling sport. It's not always physical. And with him, we had to sit down, and I just told him, hey man, every pitch you throw, do it with conviction. And if you get hit, you get hit. But don't expect it to be hit when you throw it in there. Do it with purpose and do it with conviction. And I don't care about the results after that. And whether or not that's worked, he's certainly thrown the ball a lot better this spring than he did in the fall, and like I said, arguably he's been one of our best guys here this spring.
How do you imagine building your bullpen with only 2 lefties at least to start out?
With a bunch of good righties. I think that they're every bit as capable of getting left-handers out as our left-handed guys. So Fitzy's a kid that's got a rubber arm that can throw every day. And I anticipate using him an awful lot. Brady Lauk has thrown the ball better this spring, so we'll look to rely on those 2 guys initially. But if there's a big lefty matchup that we have, but at the end of the day, we got two good lefties in our rotation right now on the weekend. That'll flip the lineup quite a bit to righties, and I feel very, very good I don't really care if they're righties, lefties or not. As long as you execute your pitches, you're going to get outs.
Landon said,
Dvorak had a really big summer in the Northwoods League under your former teammate Michael Moreno. What's maybe an underrated aspect of his game that could really help contribute to the 2026 Sundays?
Versatility and he can play a variety of positions, and he's extremely smart on the base pass. I think he's respectfully not a track star. He's a burner, a prototypical stolen base guy. He runs well, but he's not a speedster. But he's extremely intelligent and he anticipates things extremely well. Gets very good jumps on the base paths. So and he's just kind of Mr. Steady Eddie defensively. Wherever you put him, he's pretty solid. So
do you expect him to play multiple positions this year?
I would start him off early on up the middle, second and short. And kind of have a real rotation with those three guys initially, with PJ and New Contradas, and keeping those guys healthy and fresh early on in the year. And no problem with bouncing them over to third base if we need to do that. But bottom line, like I said, that's kind of part of the flexibility that I like with this roster. It's not in the past where guys can only play one position, and if a guy goes down, where it's like, oh, we're in trouble. This year we have plenty of options to go around at multiple positions.
Landon said that this year's team is a lot younger than last year's team. How have you just seen them mature over the course of the off season?
I think there's I don't know if I would fully agree with that. I think we have a lot of guys that have a lot of experience at this level. Specifically our pitching staff. We have a lot of local kids that have been here as freshmen, and they took their lumps as freshmen. If you guys were here a couple years ago, we had our growing pains with those guys, but it was necessary in order for them to be in this position they're in now, where they are experienced, they're battle tested, they're ready. And you have guys like Fitzy, and you bring in older guys like Cole Klecker that are experienced and have a lot of Division I, Big 12, postseason experience that aren't going to be intimidated by any moment or any situation. And as you're building a team, that's important, along with the youth that we have brought in, the Austin Musos of the world, those type of kids that are going to contribute as freshmen and be, in my mind, very good for us, not only this year but moving forward. So you have those mix of young guys and older guys, I think, is key to hopefully have long-term success.
You guys have a couple of those young guys from Arizona. How have you just seen the interest from local prospects increase since your time here?
It's been good, pulling Cooper Klausers of the world, guys that are going to come in and contribute right away. I think those are going to be key as we keep moving forward. The grass isn't greener when you leave out of Arizona. This is a pretty special place to play. A lot of times we get complacent because it's in our backyard, but when you look at all of Arizona State and what it has to offer academically, athletically, socially, it's a pretty dang special place. So the local kids are hopefully starting to realize that and see the trajectory of the program that's going the right direction, and hopefully they'll want to stay home.
You mentioned Austin Moose as a freshman pitcher who could break out. Who's a freshman hitter that could break out?
Well, I think early on these freshmen they're behind some older experienced guys that are pretty good, and but they've had a lot of them had very successful falls and springs. Cooper Klauser, I mentioned, is a kid that I wouldn't hesitate DHing him and or putting him behind the plate. He's done a really, really good job. Finn Leach has had a nice spring and doesn't seem to be intimidated by anybody. Brendan Lewis is a two-way player that is an infielder, and he can get on the bump and be very effective there as well. Plays with a ton of energy. Those guys have done really, really good. Jackson Durst, a little behind offensively, but defensively might be our best outfielder defensively. He's pretty good out there. Scrappy player. Whether or not he finds himself on the field will be up to how those older guys play and perform out of the gates. So there's a lot of guys that are candidates for getting opportunities, and see what they do with it.
Dom Smaldino said he's been on bad teams, he's been on good teams, and all the good teams have the camaraderie that he's seen in this clubhouse. Is that something you agree with?
We've been a good clubhouse majority of the time. I think the majority of the teams we've had, but this year feels a little bit different for whatever reason. I think they have an idea how good they can be. They have an idea that we have not had this much depth in the past, and we don't always have to rely on the same guys every day. There's going to be a different dude every day that helps us win a game. And I think the competition has been very good, and they've earned each other's respect because there's nobody that's starting job is safe, right? It's rented, it's not owned. So they understand that hey, I'm renting my position today and I got to pay my rent, or otherwise someone's going to take it from me. And I think that part of it has been good, that there's nothing been given to anybody. They've all had to earn their starting roles and whatever roles they have out of the gates.
Kyle Walker, Camview stole a whole lot of bags last year. Do you see that as kind of an identity for this team this year? Does it change how you construct a lineup, or is that ultimately not super important?
Those two were special kids in the fact that they could just outrun the game a lot of times, and even if they didn't get great jumps, they would just make up for it in raw speed and talent, and outrun the catcher. We got to be a little more strategic this year. We don't have necessarily those burners that can just flat out outrun the game. We have a couple. It's not saying we don't have good team speed. I think we have a solid amount of guys that can steal bases but we have to be strategic about it. One thing we do have is guys that can put the bat on the ball, so you guys can read between the lines on what I'm thinking on that. We put the game in motion and have some protection with that. So we'll have to get creative on some ways if we're going to steal as many bases as we did last year, but a big part of me hopes we don't have to do that in order to generate runs. We just got to be smart about it.